Welcome to the stream a bit earlier than usual. It's actually 4 hours and 17 minutes until the deadline, but going a bit earlier this morning as I have some plans closer to the deadline. So let's see if I can put my team back on. There we go. So if you're interested in having your team reviewed, just post a picture under my latest post on X. I have actually made 2 transfers. I sold Rodgers to bring in Pakta, and I sold Williams to bring in. If you're interested in having your to bring in Timber. Post on X. I have actually made 2 transfers. Hopefully the sound is okay. Let me know if it's something wrong with the sound. So as mentioned, 2 transfers made. I sold Rodgers to bring in Pakita, and I sold Williams to bring in Timber. Actually considering to take a hit this game week. My bench boost is active. I have a consisting bench of Dubravka and Jai, Pedro Porro and Van de Ven. I'm tempted by selling NGI to bring in Enzo Fernandez, but I'm not 100% sure he will start in game week 8, so I'm tempted but not sure I will make that transfer. Let's see if I can change the text as well. I'm fairly settled on this team. I might take a hit and sell NGI to bring in Enzo Fernandez. I really like Enzo going forward. Cole Palmer, he is out, and Enzo Fernandez will be on penalties, and Chelsea, they have a really good fixture. I still have an available Chelsea spot. I have Sanchez, I have Joao Pedro up front, but I'm really tempted to actually triple up on Chelsea. So my bench boost is active. I have Dubravka, NGI, Pedro Porro, and Van de Ven on the bench. I think this is strong enough, but last night I actually read some rumors about Fabian Schär losing his spot. Chelsea, the predicted lineup for, I'm sorry, Newcastle, the predicted lineup is that Diav will start for Newcastle with Fabian Schär on the bench. So, So it's like Fabian Schär has been nailed on for Newcastle for years now. He's been one of the most consistent players, best FPL options as well. He always carries a bit of attacking threat. But if he will not start for Newcastle going forward, he might be a player I have to consider selling really soon. So hopefully he will start in game week 8, but I'm not really sure. I think I might be disappointed when it comes to Fabian Schär. Is this enough for me to cancel and delay the bench boost once again? I'm not really sure. I'm really tempted to just get the bench boost out of the way. But we'll see this morning if there are any more news and rumors about both Chelsea, of course, and Newcastle as well. So it is a bit interesting. Salah, Joe Pedro, and Gyökeres, they are three of the most sold players ahead of game week 8. What's really interesting is that all of those players, they are actually on the bookies predicted anytime goal scorer top 5 list as well. So I think there will be a lot of frustrated FPL managers in game week 8. I know that Gyökeres, Joe Pedro, they haven't delivered recently, but they will start up front for Chelsea and Arsenal, two of the best teams in the league. They have decent fixtures in game week 8. Is this the right time to sell their starting number 9? So I'm not really sure. I will most definitely keep Joe Pedro and Gyökeres. I'm happy, at least Joe Pedro, to own him going forward. I might be tempted to do something with Gyökeres if he blanks in game week 8, but for the time being, I'm actually satisfied with my forwards. So if I decide to sell Gyökeres, I will most definitely bring in Saka. Will cover the Arsenal defense and Arsenal attack, and I think that Saka is actually a better asset compared to Gyökeres at the moment, especially considering that Saka is most probably the first choice penalty taker. He took the last penalty while Gyökeres was on the pitch. We know that Arsenal, they have actually swapped their penalty taker earlier as well. Ødegaard, he has taken some. Saka, he has taken some. Strong rumors in preseason that Gyökeres would be the first choice penalty taker, so a bit surprising, to be honest, to see Saka take that last one, but it is what it is, and hopefully Gyökeres can score against Fulham. So the first vote is in. It's a no. Rodgers to Enzo Fernandez, no. The thing is that one of the reasons why I'm a bit tempted to sell NGI is the fact that when we take a look at the fixtures, so these are the fixtures going forward for Everton. Tough game, of course, in game week 8 playing away against Man City. They have Spurs at home, so I think when I see that Spurs at home fixture, I think a lot of FPL managers remember that actually this was a fixture to target last season, but Spurs, they are much, much better defensively, so I don't really see this as a good fixture for Everton. Solid fixture in game week 10 playing away against Sunderland, but I think that Sunderland, they are a bit better than, let's see, it's a fixture difficulty rating of 2. I think this probably should be a 3 as well. Then they have Fulham. This potentially could be a green fixture, and they have United, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest. So not the best fixtures for Everton going forward. So NGI, he could potentially be one to sell for a -4. I kind of agree. I'm not sure if it's worth it, but if we get the confirmation that Enzo Fernandez definitely will start in game week 8, I might do this move. Babajida Ogunjumi, should I sell Wood and Richarlison for Joe Pedro and Bowen or Joe Pedro and Voltmother? Should I sell Wood and Richarlison? So my favorite forward out of the 3 you mentioned is Jared Bowen. I think that he will be a really good asset to own going forward. A differential, his price has gone down, so I definitely agree selling Chris Wood and selling Richarlison as well. I think it's a good idea. Totally makes sense. Wood, he's actually yellow flagged. He has competition with Igor Jesus up front for Nottingham Forest. Same goes for Richarlison. He will potentially start in game week 8, but Kulumwane, he is back as well. And Solanke, at some point, he will return. So selling Richarlison this game week makes sense. Selling Chris Wood makes sense. I would most definitely bring in Jared Bowen. So both Joe Pedro and Voltmother are good options. I think I would be leaning towards, I think it kind of depends on your team. So if you have that, let's say if you have Enzo Fernandez, I would go for Voltmother. If you have Anthony Gordon, I would go Joao Pedro. I think it's a good idea to cover both Newcastle and Chelsea going forward. So let me know if you have any other players from Newcastle or Chelsea, and it will be a bit easier to decide between Joao Pedro and Voltmother. Blood Thoughts, good morning. Good morning. Thanks for joining in. Hello, my team is Dubravka, Rodon, Diouf, Van de Ven, Esteve, NGI, Salah, Phil Foden, Bruno Fernandes, Richarlison, Haaland, on the bench for Bruggen, Dewsbury Hall, Mark Guehi, Nico Williams. Should I roll 0.5 in the bank? 2 free transfers. Let's see. I think that considering the fixtures, I really like the fixture for Leeds and Burnley. I think one of those teams potentially might keep a clean sheet, so playing those cheap players in game week 8 makes sense. This is actually one of the reasons why I'm really tempted to play my bench boost this game week. I have Dubravka, I have Rodon, so they might deliver this game week. Van de Ven, Esteve as well, so we have a double up on Burnley. Njai, Salah, Foden, Bruno Fernandes, Richarlison. My only worry with this team is up front with Richarlison. I recently just discussed Richarlison. I think he potentially might start in game week 8, but he is a player I would consider selling going forward. Kulumwani, he is back. Solanke will be back at some point as well. Maybe something like Richarlison to Jared Bowen. Could be an option. Plot thoughts. Do you like Caicedo over Ilman Njai? I think that actually NGI is a better FPL option, to be honest. He can potentially pick up defensive contribution points like Caicedo. He is on penalties and set pieces for Everton. Caicedo, he plays for the better team. He has scored 3 goals so far this season. I can't really see Caicedo keeping this up, to be honest. So I think that his ownership has gone up a fair bit in the last game weeks because of Caicedo scoring goals, but I think those FPL managers will be a bit disappointed. I can't really see Caicedo keep scoring goals at this rate, so I actually prefer Njai as an FPL option. And Chelsea, they have really, really good fixtures and they have a lot of good FPL assets as well. Decent value in that Chelsea squad, so I wouldn't like to have Caicedo, to be honest. I just bought Richarlison 2 game weeks ago. I know that a lot of people brought Richarlison in. They had a really good fixture. He was definitely going to start. Was this game week 5 or game week 6? Can't really remember, but he was really tempted. He was really tempting and brought in by a lot of managers, but I think that Richarlison in game week 5 or game week 6 was a really good punt, but I think it's time to consider selling him again. I think he will be a really frustrating FPL asset to own. He didn't even start in game week 7, even though both Kulumani and Solanke was out. So he's in the predicted starting lineup at least for game week 8. So if you want to keep Richarlison, I think that's fine for game week 8. But I would start planning on a transfer with Richarlison out. So roll or not, I think seeing that you just brought Richarlison in and the fact that you probably want to keep him and give him at least one more game, I think that your team is definitely good for a roll. Having 3 free transfers heading into game week 9 can be really precious as well. We will have more information, of course, so Dewsbury Hall, Mark Wehi, Nico Williams. Yeah. Roll the transfer. Another thing is that seeing that you have Mo Salah, I would actually consider Mo Salah as my captain in game week 8. This is the defensive stats for Man United heading into game week 8. Last 4 game weeks, they have kept 1 clean sheet, conceded 7 goals, 13 big chances conceded, 18 shots on target, and an expected goal of 5.79. So I think this fixture is really good for Liverpool. So we consider that Mo Salah, he has historically really good stats against Man United. Man United, they have not looked good recently. They are one of the worst defensive teams when we take a look at the stats. So I think that Mo Salah actually is a really good captain candidate for game week 8. Plot thoughts. Do you know anything about Enzo and Caicedo's availability? I'm thinking Moises will start, but I couldn't really find anything about Enzo. I know this is really frustrating. I spent some time last night and this morning as well searching for news. The thing is that Maresca said that if they didn't train, they wouldn't play. And we know at this point that they at least took parts in the last training session for Chelsea. Caicedo did. He was pictured, but he did not. He did not play in the whole training session, so it's kind of hard to predict what will happen in game week 8. I think Caicedo, if he's fit to play, he will probably start. So I think that he, in that training session, only got rested to be ready for game week 8. So Caicedo, I think that he will start. Enzo Fernandez, I think it's a bit harder to predict. So there are like 2 rumors about Enzo Fernandez at this point. There are rumors about him leaving the Argentina camp because of the knee injury. And there are some rumors that saying that Enzo Fernandez, he only played 1 game and this was pre-planned. So I think it's really hard to say. It will be guesswork all the way until the deadline. There will be a lot of rumors and predicted Chelsea starting lineups. So my guess would be that Caicedo starts and that Enzo Fernandez actually is on the bench for Chelsea in game week 8. I really like Enzo at the moment because of the Cole Palmer injury, and we know that he will be on penalties. So really, really tempted to sell NGI and bring in Enzo Fernandez. So NGI to Enzo. I'm really, really tempted, even if it's for a -4. So would be really interested to see if there are any confirmed news about Enzo closer to the deadline. Thoughts. I hope Liverpool don't embarrass United too badly. I think potentially that Liverpool will do really well against Man United this game week, to be honest. Especially considering that they haven't really performed that well, but I can see Liverpool scoring some goals against Man United in game week 8. So actually, if I were to play my wildcard, I would consider having at least one attacker from Liverpool for this game week, but of course, Mo Salah really expensive. I wouldn't pick Mo Salah on my wildcard. Gakpo, I'm not sure if he will continue playing week in, week out. I can see some rotation. Alexander Isak doesn't really look that great at the moment. Wirtz is a risk as well. So I have made a wildcard video, but I don't have any Liverpool players in it. But as mentioned, I think they will do well this game week against Man United. Hopefully there will be no early goals in that game, and Man United can potentially stay away from a beating in game week 8. So I'm actually a Man United fan. No Man United players in my FPL team. So at the moment it's 50-50. Should I take a -4 this game week to sell NGI and bring in Enzo? My bench boost is active. I have made 2 transfers already. I sold Rodgers to bring in Paqueta, and I sold Williams to bring in Timber. Really satisfied. I finally got an Arsenal defender in. So is this strong enough for a bench boost? Dubravka against Leeds. I think this is a decent fixture for Dubravka. Burnley, they are the worst defensive team, so hopefully they can do well against Leeds. NGI, tough fixture playing away against Man City, but he is on some set pieces, including penalties. He will definitely start, so I might just keep NGI and have a double Spurs defense with Pedro Porro and Van de Ven. I think this potentially is strong enough for a bench boost. I might actually take a hit to sell NGI and bring in Enzo Fernandez. This would mean that my bench would be Dubravka and Bumo, Pedro Porro and Van de Ven. Last night after doing the Q&A, I actually read some rumors about Fabian Schär not starting for Newcastle in game week 8. This would be a real spanner in the works for my bench boost, of course, but Botman and Thiav, they are the predicted centre backs for Newcastle in game week 8. So I read 3 predicted Newcastle starting lineups, and 2 of them have Botman and Thiav. One of them has Botman and Fabian Schär. So I will probably just keep Fabian Schär and deal with him if he doesn't play in game week 8. So the deadline is 3 hours 45 minutes away. I usually do my deadline streams a bit later, but this morning I have some commitments closer to the deadline, and this is the reason why I'm doing this a bit earlier this morning. if you're interested in having your team reviewed, head over to X, post a picture of your team under my latest post, and I will get it up on the screen. On the screen at the moment, my team for game week 8. As mentioned, 2 transfers made, and I'm really tempted by bringing in Enzo as well. Bench boost active, and hopefully game week 8 will deliver another green arrow. I haven't seen any Chelsea news so far this morning. We might get something, but there will be a lot of rumors and predicted starting lineups. So I'm not sure if we will get any confirmation about Enzo Fernandez. Same goes for Moises Caicedo. I think my guess would be that Caicedo starts and Enzo Fernandez is on the bench. Let's have a quick look over on X. No concrete Enzo Fernandez news so far. I think it's most guesswork. I think this will be one of those deadlines where there are a lot of rumors, and some accounts on X will try to grow their audience by taking a guess and saying that they have confirmed news about him starting or not. So it's like 50-50, right? So maybe an easy way to get some new followers. Babajide Ogunjumi. My team is Sanchez, Dubravka, Esteve, Richards, Anderson, Nico Williams, Van de Ven, Semenyo, Dewsbury Hall, Mo Salah, Reinders, Elliott, Holland, Wood, and Richarlison. 3 free transfers, and you have the wildcard, free hit, and bench boost available. Should I do 3 free transfers or wildcard? So let's see. Sanchez, you can just start Sanchez. Esteve is actually one to consider starting as well. Joachim Anderson, not the best fixture for him, so I would bench Anderson, I would bench Richards, seeing that you have Semenyo, Nico Williams, potentially want to sell as well. Van de Ven can start, so I would make one transfer in defense. Kind of depends how much you got in the bank. Omar Ashur, would you start NGI or Stach? I would take a punt on Stach this game week, seeing that Leeds, they have arguably the best fixture in game week 8 playing against Burnley. So normally I would say NGI, he will start for Everton. He is on penalties, but really, really tough fixture. So NGI on the bench is fine. So with this team, I think this team is soon, it's close to a wildcard team. There are a lot of players in there I would get rid of, like Richarlison, Wood. Not a big Elliott fan. Dewsbury Hall as well. You have Nico Williams in there. So the thing is that some of those players, like Richards, Anderson, they're fine to keep, but they have really tough fixtures in game week 8. So you can get away with spending your 3 free transfers this game week. I would do something like Wood and Richarlison to the likes of Jared Bowen, Joe Pedro, and potentially selling Nico Williams. Kind of depends how much you got in the bank, of course, but bringing in an Arsenal defender with this team would be really tempting. So something like Nico Williams to Timber, Chris Wood to Jared Bowen, and Richarlison to, I think Mateta is a decent option as well, but Joe Pedro is a really good transfer in this game week. Thanks, feels weird benching a pen taker. I totally agree. This is one of the reasons why I'm playing my bench boost this game week. I might actually sell NGI. This is kind of team dependent as well. Everton, they don't have the best fixtures going forward. In game week 9, I will have NGI playing against at least one of my Spurs defenders. So this is why I'm considering NGI 2 Enzo. So please go vote in the poll. 60% for no, 40% yes. I'm leaning towards no myself, just having NGI on the bench with a bench boost. I think this is good enough for a bench boost. Dubravka against Leeds, NGI against Man City, and a double up on Spurs with Pedro Porro and Van de Ven. So let's see. Babajida Ogunjumi, I think you can get away with just using your transfers, saving the wildcard. As mentioned, you have some players in there I would sell on a wildcard, but you have some decent players in Richards, Anderson that I would potentially just keep, but they don't have the best fixture in game week 8. So if you sell Nico Williams, if you sell Chris Wood, Richarlison, you can potentially play Richarlison in game week 8 as well, but Chris Wood, Nico Williams out, Richarlison, Richards on the bench, Dewsbury Hall on the bench, and you're getting close to a good starting lineup for game week 8. Said this once already, but going a bit earlier than usual with this deadline stream. I have some commitments closer to the deadline, so going a couple of hours earlier. I have had a couple of questions about Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo. We haven't gotten any concrete news about their availability for game week 8, but we know Mahrez Caicedo, if they don't train, they will not play. Caicedo, he took parts of the last training session. Enzo Fernandez, he did not train in the last training session. I think Moises Caicedo, It's really, really important for Chelsea. I think he will start. Enzo Fernandez, I'm a bit more unsecure about Enzo Fernandez. He might be benched and come in. He is that type of player that can change a game. Moises Casero, I think that if he is fit enough, he will start. If Casero is not fit, he will get a full rest. So getting close to 3,100 subscribers. So if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. That would be really, really appreciated. I do Friday night Q&As the day before the deadline, weekly Q&As, and I do those deadline streams as well. As mentioned, this deadline stream is a bit earlier due to commitments closer to the deadline. I also post weekly team selection videos, so if you haven't watched those, it would be really appreciated if you do. Help me get that watch time up a bit as well. And of course, consider giving this stream a like and subscribe to the channel as mentioned. Let's see. If you're interested in having your team reviewed on the screen, head over to X and post a picture of your team selection. It's the same handle as here on YouTube. It's at FPL TFS. Erling Haaland, he is the bookie's favorite in game week 8. He usually is, to be honest. Most game weeks, Erling Haaland, he comes out on top. So for game week 8, Man City's fixture at home against Everton, Erling Haaland, he has been given the first spot. 58% of chance of a clean sheet. Salah, he is actually second, 45, and Gyökeres is close to Salah with 43. Gyökeres is also one of the most sold players ahead of game week 8. This is really interesting. The same goes for Joao Pedro. Mo Salah is actually the most sold player. I think that selling Mo Salah this game week is a mistake, to be honest. I think he will do well. Man United, they are one of the worst defensive teams, so I think that if you have Mo Salah, he is a definite keep for game week 8. Grealish, one of the most sold players, but this makes more sense because he is liable to play against Man City. So Jack Grealish, he will not play in game week 8. He is the second most sold player as well. But selling Joao Pedro, selling Mo Salah, this does not make sense to me at the moment. My game week 8 watch list: Diouf, Gabriel, and Timber in defense. I really like Diouf, the West Ham defender. We know Nuno Espirito Santos is the new manager for West Ham. Historically, he does really well defensively with his teams, and Diouf, he has actually contributed with 3 assists so far this season. In a friendly game during the international break, he actually started with a back 5 with Diouf playing as wing back, so he can potentially be a really explosive asset going forward. And of course, Timber, Gabriel covering the Arsenal defense, the best defense in the league. This totally makes sense at the moment. Gordon, good option in midfield. Enzo Fernandez, of course, but there are some question marks, of course, and so he might not start game week 8. Saka, if you have the possibility to bring in Saka, this is a really good transfer ahead of game week 8. In my team, I have Gyökeres. Wish I had Saka, but we'll just give Gyökeres one more game against Fulham in game week 8. So if you can't afford Saka, or if you already own Saka, I think that SA as well is a really good option from the Arsenal attack. Up front, of course, Erling Haaland. I think that he is the best forward to own, but he's really expensive. Most of us already have Erling Haaland in as well, but there are a lot of good options. A big punt ahead of game week 8 is Strand Larsen, the Wolves forward. He is potentially the first choice penalty taker for Wolves. I know that Joe Pedro is one of the most sold players ahead of game week 8, but I would actually consider bringing Joe Pedro in, to be honest. So Joe Pedro, good transfer in. Jared Bowen as well, really interesting asset going forward. Fulkrug, he is injured, so we know that Jared Bowen, he will potentially play as number 9 for West Ham. What are your options for Watkins? So are you considering selling Watkins? So if you have Watkins in your team, I definitely think that he is a sell at the moment. The fixtures for Aston Villa can't be much tougher, so selling Watkins is a good idea. I was actually just going through my watch list. It's in the right-hand corner in the graphic as well. I think that there are a lot of good forwards at the moment. My favorite is probably Jared Bowen. I just talked about him. He will potentially play as number 9 for West Ham, but he can do well from the right wing as well. But Fulkrug is injured. Jared Bowen, really good FPL option. Completely nailed 90 minutes, man, on corners, free kicks, stuff like that. We know Pakta will take their penalties, but I think Jared Bowen is a really good option. If you want to downgrade and to move funds into midfield, so if you really want Saka, I think that Strand Larsen, selling Watkins to Strand Larsen will allow you to have a lot of funds available in midfield, and he is potentially the first choice penalty taker for Wolves as well. Really, really good fixtures for Wolves. They have looked a bit better recently. Mateta, good option. Joe Pedro, good option as well. So there are a lot of good replacements for Watkins at the moment. This is my team. I have made 2 transfers already. I've sold Rodgers, I've sold Nico Williams to bring in Pakita and Timber. My bench boost is currently active. Dubravka, NGI, Peroporo, Van de Ven. I think this is strong enough for a bench boost. Hopefully game week 8 will give me a new green arrow. There are some rumors about Fabian Schär. He's not in the predicted starting 11 for Newcastle. At least I looked up 3 predicted Newcastle starting lineups. 2 of them don't have Fabian Schär, while the last one have Fabian Schär in. So I'm not really sure if he will play, but I'm still leaning towards just playing my bench boost, to be honest. I want to get the bench boost out of the way. My plan after using my bench boost is to downgrade one of my midfielders to probably it will be Josh King, the 4.5 Fulham midfielder, so I can have him on my bench and have more available funds to spend on my starting 11. Bowen is a better long-term option. Definitely, Jared Bowen, he will start every game for West Ham if he don't get injured. So Jared Bowen is a really, really good option. No European games for West Ham as well. So I think that Jared Bowen will just tick along just fine. So Watkins to Jared Bowen, I really like this transfer. Joshua, good morning. Thanks for joining in. Are you prepared for game week 8? So I usually do those deadline streams a bit closer to the deadline, but due to commitments, I'm going a bit earlier this morning. So the deadline is 3 hours and 24 minutes away. But let me know if you have any questions, 50-50 decisions, stuff like that. And if you're interested, head over to X and post a picture of your team selection. I will get it up on the screen. I am tempted by selling NGI to bring in Enzo Fernandez. He has looked good for Chelsea so far, and he will be on penalties with Cole Palmer being out. My hope is that if Enzo Fernandez will not play in game week 8, hopefully Joao Pedro will be next in line for penalties. I think it's crazy selling Joao Pedro ahead of game week 8, to be honest. He is one of the most transferred out players. It doesn't really make sense to me. Same goes for Mo Salah. He has done well against Man United in the past, and Man United are one of the worst defensive teams in the last 4 game weeks as well. Joshua, my original plan was Evan Nilsson to Jared Bowen or Joe Pedro, but I'm not happy with Rodgers and Xavi. I like all of those moves. Evan Nilsson to Bowen or Joe Pedro is an upgrade, but I think I would prioritize selling Rodgers, to be honest. The fixtures does not look good for Aston Villa going forward. Let's have a look at their fixtures. So short term, I think that Rodgers is a sell, to be honest. Playing away against Spurs, then they have a fixture against Man City, and they have Liverpool away in game week 10. Tough fixture against Bournemouth and Leeds. I know in the fixture difficulty rating, Leeds, they are labeled as a green fixture, but they have actually been quite solid defensively. So I think that both Watkins and Rodgers are players I would consider selling ahead of game week 8, to be honest. So Evan Nilsson, he will start not the best fixture for him either, playing against Crystal Palace, but I like Evan Nilsson better than Rodgers for the next few fixtures. So my priority would probably be to sell Rodgers, to be honest. Xavi Simons, I wouldn't pick him on my wildcard, but don't necessarily see him as a priority to sell ahead of this game week as well. He will start. He is on some set pieces for Spurs. So as mentioned, my priority would be to sell Rodgers. I have actually sold Rodgers myself. I sold him to bring in Paqueta. Bench 1, Romero, Burn or Rodon. I would be really tempted to take a punt on Rodon this game week. So he has attacking threat. He has the best fixture. I know he's only priced at 4 million, but I would start Rodon. So Romero, Dan Burn. I think that Newcastle have the better fixture. So I would start Rodon and Burn and have Romero first on my bench. This is actually what I'm doing myself, so let's get my team back up. And this is also one of the reasons why I'm playing my bench boost. I have a double up on the Spurs defense. Van de Ven, Pedro Porro, NGI, and Dubravka on the bench. I think this is strong enough for a bench boost. I have Fabian Schär. He is kind of a risk ahead of game week 8. It's not in all of the predicted starting 11s for Newcastle that I have looked up. So I think Rodon should start in game week 8. One Equan 8541. Hi. Ruffs, Senesi, Danburn, Timber, Semenyo, Enzo Fernandez, Paqueta, Anthony, Holland, Gyökeres, Voltmada, and on the bench Donnarumma, Grealish, Tarkovsky, and Shalaba. 4 free transfers. Who should I change? Plan on bench boost or just roll? I think this is really close to a bench boost team, but you have Grealish, he will not play. You have Tarkovsky, really tough fixture. And so he might not start. Anthony, yellow flagged as well, isn't he? But you have decent fixtures for both of your goalkeepers. I think if you spend a couple of those free transfers, this is getting really close to a good bench boost team. So something like Jack Grealish to maybe Esse. Voltmada. I would be tempted to play my bench boost with this team. You have Shalaba as well. Decent fixture playing against Nottingham Forest. They are not in the best form, so having a Chelsea defender, I think this is a good idea. So maybe something like Grealish, Tarkovsky out and play the bench boost. Anthony Gordon is an option. Esse, good option as well. In defense, a player that I think is kind of underrated at the moment is Diouf from West Ham. I have considered bringing Diouf in. At the end, I went for Timber. I have made two transfers so far. I sold Rodgers and I sold Williams to bring in Timber and Pakita, but I was really close to bring in Diouf ahead of game week 8, so you can potentially do something like Tarkovsky to Diouf. So Tarkovsky to Diouf, Jack Grealish to SA, and I think this is a good bench boost team for game week 8. Gotta pop out. Thank you. Have a good stream. Joshua, thanks. Best of luck for game week 8 and have a nice weekend. So I'm doing this stream a bit of an unusual time. I usually do it a bit later, closer to the deadline, but I have commitments closer to the deadline this weekend, so this is why I'm going a bit early. It's still 3 hours, 14 minutes until the deadline. I have had a couple of questions about Caicedo, and so will they play? We haven't really gotten any concrete news about any of them, but my guess is that Caicedo will start, and Enzo Fernandez, he can potentially be benched for game week 8. So let's have a look in the poll. Rodgers to Enzo Fernandez for a -4. So this is an option for me. I'm playing my bench boost. I have NGI. The thing is that I really like NGI as an asset. He is nailed on for Everton and he is on penalties, but they have tough fixtures coming up in game week 9. They will play against Spurs, and I have 2 Spurs defenders. So this is one of the reasons why I'm considering to sell NGI. I really want Enzo Fernandez going forward, especially after the news about the Cole Palmer injury. So Enzo Fernandez is the first choice penalty taker for Chelsea at the moment. So bringing him in is a really good idea. Any updates on Enzo? No concrete news on Enzo. I've been on X to see if there are any concrete news, but we'll have another look as well. If you're interested in having your team reviewed, head over to X, post a picture of your team under this post. So a bit of conspiracy from FPL Harry last night, and so he usually posts a matchday graphic on Instagram the night before a game. He has not posted anything in his socials yet. Caicedo has. Of course, this is not to be all and all just a note. I won't be buying Enzo, I don't think, but I definitely won't buy him if there isn't some sort of positive news. So no concrete news from what I can see over on X, but I wouldn't necessarily. Shall I go for 3 strikers? Yeah, I think that's the safest option. The thing is with Enzo and injuries like this, Enzo Maresca, he has had his press conference. We won't get any concrete news from Maresca ahead of the deadline, so there will be a lot of rumors. I think that a lot of accounts on X will just claim that they have concrete news on the likes of Enzo and Caicedo, so it's 50-50. So a lot of X accounts will just guess and say that they have information in the know information just to get followers. So it's really hard predicting if Enzo will start or not, and the same goes for Caicedo. Okay, thanks. We'll consider it. Should I keep Enzo? Definitely, if you have Enzo Fernandez, my advice would be to just start him in game week 8. But I wouldn't necessarily transfer Enzo in unless we get some solid news about him starting. Most people said that he's not going to start. Anthony 2 is injured. I currently have these two in my 11. So Anthony, he has been rumored to carry a bit of an injury as well. So Anthony is a risk, but potentially might start. Decent fixture, decent player as well, good differential. I think that Anthony is a good asset going forward, but game week 8, as mentioned, he is a bit of a risk. Is your league closed to new entries? Hopefully not. I made this mistake. So I actually have 2 head-to-head mini leagues. I know that one of them is closed to new entries, so I made a new one. The code is in the scrolling text at the bottom. It's in the description as well. If you're interested, go try join that one, but hopefully it's not closed to new entries. Wish Malhotra, hey man, I have posted my team, so let's go have a look. Can't seem to find your team. Let's see if it's under. There we go. I'm not able to join through the link given in description. Really sorry about that. And this is probably why we only are like 8 managers in that league. I'm not really sure, but I made a league ahead of game week 1, and I know this was closed for entries after game week 1. I made a new one because there were a couple of guys trying to join my first league, so I made a new one. I tried to keep it open for entries, but maybe this is not possible with a head-to-head league. I'm not really sure. I will look into it and potentially set up a new league as well. So thanks for trying to join, and I will try to sort this out during the weekend, and hopefully ahead of game week 9 there will be possible to join my third and newest league. So this is Wish Malhotra's team. Raya Engel, Dubravka, Gabriel, Senesi, Richards, Romero, Michele, Kyrgios, Semenyo, Reinders, Bruno Fernandes, King, and up front Haaland, Pedro, and Gyökeres. So no active chips. Wildcard played in game week 6. So let's see. With this team, I would bench the likes of Dubravka. He would be on my bench. Richards as well. Josh King. So this is a really solid team. I think that the only decision to make with this team is if you want to bench Senesi, Romero, or Mukiele. So I would most definitely start Gabriel. Probably Romero as well, due to his attacking threat. Richards, he will be on my bench, seeing that you have Semenyo. Kyrgios, Semenyo, Reinders, Bruno Fernandes, and King on the bench. And of course, start Erling Haaland, Joe Pedro, and Gyökeres. I would be really tempted by the differential appeal and play Gabriel, Romero, and Mukiele, and bench Senesi and Richards, to be honest. I think that there will be goals in the game, Crystal Palace against Bournemouth. So seeing that you have Semenyo in this fixture already, I think I would have Dubravka, Senesi first on my bench, Richards, and then Josh King. Solid team. I think this potentially will be a green arrow for game week 8. So 1-1, yeah, just at my bench, Grealish, Tarkowski, Shalhoba. If Enzo or Anthony not playing, Shalhoba will fill in. Hope just one of them is not playing. Maybe I just keep my bench boost or make 1 or 2 transfers. I think you definitely need to make a couple of transfers. But game week 8 is, with the situation we have with both Enzo Fernandez and Anthony, game week 8 is possibly not the best game week for you to bench boost, to be honest. So there are still a lot of good bench boost weeks coming up. You have to use it before game week 19, but we're only in game week 8, so I would potentially just save my bench boosts. So this is Wish Malhotra's team, solid team. I think this is good enough to just save a transfer Senesi, Richards, and Josh King on the bench, and this will give 5 free transfers and a mini wildcard for game week 9. I like the idea of this, so definitely just save your transfer. My plan going forward would be to try to fit in someone like Enzo Fernandez from game week 9. He is a bit of a risk ahead of game week 8, but doing something like Reinders to Enzo, potentially Bruno Fernandes to Saka as well. But I think this team is good to go for game week 8. So Luca, Di Gabriel, sell Bruno for Saka and downgrade Tarkowski to Rodon and roll 1 free transfer. I don't have 3 Arsenal assets. So I just mentioned this with Wish Malhotra's team. A potential transfer is to actually sell Bruno Fernandes to bring in Saka. Downgrading Tarkowski to Rodon, I really like this as well. So it's a yes from me. Bruno to Saka, Tarkowski to Rodon. So as mentioned, Luca Di Gabriel, sell Bruno for Saka, downgrade Tarkowski to Rodon. Really good plan. I would consider this. I think this will strengthen your team. And Bruno Fernandes, of course, he is a decent FPL option. He will always be on set pieces. I think he's still on penalties for Man United, but same goes for Saka and Arsenal. They are the better team. So thanks for joining in. I going a bit earlier this weekend because I have some commitments closer to the deadline. I usually have deadline streams at the actual deadline, but this weekend I had to go a bit earlier. So it's 3 hours until the deadline. I have to go really soon. Thanks all for joining in. Please consider subscribing to the channel. I always do a live Q&A the night before the deadline, and I do deadline streams like this, usually a bit closer to the deadline. So if you're interested, go subscribe to the channel. I post weekly team selection videos as well. So if you want to help the channel, please go check them out to help me with my watch time as well. But best of luck for game week 8 and have a nice weekend, and hopefully I'll see you on my next stream. So thanks for joining in. Best of luck for game week 8 and have a nice weekend. Okay, man, thanks. Hope we all get good green arrows. So I'm really positive about game week 8. Hopefully the bench boost will work out. Hopefully all of you other guys as well will have a successful game week 8.